Is it time for you to buy some PayPal stock? Well, in this video, I want to take a deep dive analysis on PayPal itself, figure out the fundamentals, the technicals, some of the stuff behind the scenes that you might not know of about PayPal, and we're going to try to decide if this stock is a buy. Let's go. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. If you're new to this channel, hit the subscribe button down below and don't forget to join our Facebook group, Positive Investing. In fact, this video was inspired because of that group. I created a post in there and asked you guys what stock you want me to cover next for the deep dive analysis, and PayPal actually got the most number of votes. So that's why I'm doing an analysis today on PayPal. So if you want your stock covered next, not only comment it down below in the comment section, but also join our Facebook group. Make sure to contribute in there and voice your opinion because it will be heard. Anyways, I'm redoing this video because some of you did notice that some of the information I had in the last video was inaccurate. I'm not really sure what happened there, but I am kind of redoing the whole video now with updated information, and this information is 100% accurate. So this will be my actual view on PayPal based on the information I have here. Now, if you appreciate the effort, if you appreciate me providing you guys with accurate information, make sure to drop a like down below. I do appreciate those, and I do want to get 100 likes on this video if that's possible. So thank you guys for the support, and now let's get into a PayPal stock analysis video. Okay, so like I said, today we're going to be talking about PayPal. So let's first talk about the company overview over here, and let's try to figure out what PayPal is as a business. So PayPal Holdings Inc., traded as PYPL, is an online payment system that enables users to pretty much do things like money transfer, so either receive or send money online, as opposed to traditional methods like through checks or money orders. Now, PayPal is mainly dominant with online retailers and online merchants that like to sell product on their website and offer customers a way to purchase product on their website. PayPal is usually one of the top options for people to choose when picking a preferred payment method. Now, how PayPal makes money is they take a percentage cut from each of these transactions, similar to what Visa and MasterCard does. So of course, the more people they have on board, the more revenue they have, the more profits they're going to make. Now, here's an interesting fact you might not know about the company. If you're familiar with Elon Musk, who is actually the CEO of SpaceX and Tesla currently, he was actually one of the founders of PayPal. So PayPal is a company that he helped develop, and he did sell it off a few years ago. So if you like his work and you like his vision in companies, PayPal was one of those companies that he really did believe in. And I'm sure he would have still kept with it, but I think he had other visions in mind, such as Tesla and SpaceX. So from what I see, PayPal's business model is to really continue to make acquisitions in different companies around the world that are doing very similar things to PayPal, and this will not only increase their market share, but also give them more exposure to markets they're not currently in. So to date, PayPal has actually made around 19 acquisitions, which I find pretty good because they're always on top of things and they're always looking for good companies to pick up at a good valuation. So PayPal currently operates in around 202 different markets with around 244 million active users who can send and receive money in 25 different currencies. One of their biggest partners right now is Chinese giant Baidu, and this gives them exposure to the Chinese space, and this also gives them exposure to Baidu's massive 100 million user audience. Now, the last thing I really want to make note of here for PayPal is that they're currently undergoing a massive stock repurchase program. They actually recently announced in the last earnings that they will be purchasing $10 billion worth of stock, and that's going to be in addition to the $5 billion they announced previously. So in total, $15 billion worth of stock will be purchased over the next few months, weeks, years. The competition is something that I really want you to focus on when looking at PayPal, because this is where I feel the biggest threat for PayPal really lies. Now, the space that PayPal is in is going to get very competitive in my opinion over the next few years. So companies, massive companies like Google and Apple currently offer Google Pay and Apple Pay on their devices. Now, these two services specifically is what concerns me a bit about PayPal and their business model really. Now, just to give you some more insight into this, Apple in their last earnings report announced that Apple Pay actually made more mobile transactions than PayPal did in the last quarter. So to try to wrap your head around that, Apple Pay is a fairly new product that they've only started pushing out maybe the last year or so, and it's already having a bigger impact in terms of revenue at least than PayPal is on mobile devices. Now we all know that mobile devices are the future. People will be doing everything on their mobile devices most likely. So PayPal really needs to step things up if they want to compete with Apple head to head in this space. Now you're thinking maybe other markets around the world like China is a better play for PayPal because Apple and Google and those companies aren't really in China. But the funny thing is in China it's actually a lot more competitive because you have services like WeChat Pay and Alipay. Now these are owned by Tencent and Alibaba respectively, which are both multi-$100 billion companies that have a lot of money to spend if they need to kick players like PayPal out of that space. Now on top of this, these services are actually even expanding to North America, so they're going to be competing with things like Apple Pay. So there's going to be a lot of increased competition over the next few years, in my opinion, in this space. So I'm not sure if PayPal will be the #1 player after that, but it's definitely going to be interesting to see who wins this battle. Now, one thing I really want to make note of and just kind of throw in here is that I've personally started noticing some stores downtown that have given me the option to pay with Alipay. So Alipay, like I said, is Alibaba's payment system. And I've never actually seen a store say that you can pay with PayPal. So I found that a bit interesting. You know, there's also a lot of places that say you can pay with Apple Pay or Google Pay. Again, nothing really that says PayPal. And I think PayPal really needs to step up their game in this space if they want to be a competitor and they want to be the #1 player in this space. Anyways, let's see what analysts have to say about PayPal. So over the last 6 months or so, PayPal has had around 10 analysts put out their price targets here. So 7 of these analysts were bullish, 0 were bearish, and 3 were neutral. So overall, the sentiment is pretty good here on PayPal. The average price that these analysts have set out was around $93.50, which gives us around 11% upside from the time of this recording. Now a quick look here at the technicals as well of PayPal. We can see that 2017 was a phenomenal year for the stock. In fact, in 2017 it did pretty much double. It went from around $40 per share to upwards of $80 per share, which is absolutely incredible in about a year. And ever since 2018 hit, it has been experiencing a lot of volatility, just like a lot of other stocks in the market. But recently it has recovered. It did hit an all-time high recently, but after its earnings it did come back down, and now it's currently hovering around its 100-day moving average. And that seems to be a level the stock really respects over time. So we'll have to wait and see if this holds, and if it does, I think that the stock will start rallying higher as the market continues higher. Now let's look at some fundamentals here for PayPal. So PayPal currently has a PE of around 44.45 and a forward PE of around 29.07, so just under 30 there. So I wouldn't necessarily compare Google and Apple's PE directly here to PayPal because their payment business is a very tiny sliver of their actual business and their revenue. So it wouldn't really be fair to compare PayPal to those. But what I thought I'd do is I'd kind of pick up companies like Visa and MasterCard, which are in the same industry, to give you a better idea of what the industry average is like. So Visa, for example, trades at a forward PE of around 25.77. MasterCard trades at a forward PE of around 26.47. So PayPal is around this, slightly higher than these two, but it is fairly valued compared to the market average, as we can see here with Visa and MasterCard. Now, one thing to note is that PayPal does not currently pay out a dividend, but I think in the next few years there is a possibility that they could pay out a dividend because, like we'll go over in a second, they do have a lot of cash on hand. But it seems like they are focusing a lot on share buybacks currently. So they don't really want to pay their investors directly. They want to pay them through share buybacks if possible. And that seems to be the route that they're going right now. Now, maybe in the next earnings or maybe next year, if growth starts to slow down, they might announce dividends just to keep people interested in the stock and just to keep people interested in investing in PayPal. Now, looking at the balance sheet here, this is one of the best balance sheets I've seen in recent times for a company. In fact, it might actually be the best balance sheet I've ever done for a deep dive here on this channel. And you can see here that cash and investments is actually at around $13.5 billion, where debt's only around $1 billion. So there's a cash debt ratio here of 13.59. So this means that PayPal is extremely healthy. They have around 13 times more cash than debt on hand. So there's no real concerns here of this company going bankrupt anytime soon. Now, digging deeper into the debt, like I said, they have $1 billion in debt. As I look into that, I can see that they actually have no long-term debt. So that means they're very good at managing their money, and the debt they do take on short-term, they seem to pay off and they don't let that build up into long-term debt. Okay, now, so looking at the numbers and the growth year over year for PayPal. So PayPal, if you look at their numbers, they've really done well in the last few years to kind of not really sustain the stock growth, but somewhat justify the stock growth. So revenue has been increasing double digits every single year for the last 5 years. And that's a very, very healthy sign, because I do expect that from a company that's in this space that's growing so rapidly. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that online payments is the future, and pretty much majority, if not all people, will be doing everything online through their phones, all that stuff. The use of traditional physical cards or checks and all that stuff is already starting to diminish. I mean, even things like paying your rent, you do through an e-transfer. And I'm sure over time you can even do it through things like Apple Pay or Google Pay. So I really want PayPal to be another one of those options like Apple Pay, Google Pay, because I feel that if they don't get that done in the next few years, that they will lose steam and they will lose to these other big players. Now, to do this, I think that they need to really step up their growth here. I do want to see some more growth here with the revenues. I want to see something maybe in the high 20s or even low 30s, which would give me a lot more confidence as an investor. And another thing that I want to note here is that the operating income and the net income has been very, very strong. I mean, last year they had a phenomenal year in 2017. Their operating income, net income hit really high levels, and I hope that they can sustain that this year and the few years moving forward. Another thing to make note of here really is that their capital spending has been fairly good. They've been managing it pretty well. They have kept it fairly low, but it has been increasing over the last 12 months or so. So they need to really keep an eye on this, because they do have a lot of cash on hand, yes, but they don't want to let this get out of control and they have to start spending more on that. And that's going to diminish the cash reserve over time. So again, that's just something as an investor I'd keep an eye on, just to make sure that they are keeping their spending in check. And of course, the last thing is the stock performance here. You'll notice that there's no data for 2013 or 2014. That's because the stock was not traded publicly at the time. 2015 is the earliest data that I have. And you can see here since then, it's pretty much doubled, a little bit more than doubled. And it's just been exploding with revenue over time. Now this graph here really shows us a better visual of the growth story. You can see the revenue has just been going up substantially year over year over year. It's almost getting to a point where it's exponential, which is what I want to see. And I want to see an even steeper climb here, because like I said, this space is massive. This space is theirs for the taking, because they're one of the longest players in this space. And they really need to step up and kind of prove to everyone that they can beat companies like Apple and Google at this game. What I also like to see from this visual here is that pretty much all the metrics are increasing except for capital spending. That's relatively flat, and that's usually a very healthy sign that this company manages their money well. So now pretty much it all comes down to this question: is PayPal a buy? So PayPal is an industry really that's poised to explode over the next few years, in my opinion. So as more consumers choose online shopping, PayPal is usually one of those companies that gives you the option to pay with PayPal. And the benefit that you get is you usually have some security and privacy behind it. You don't really expose your credit card number to the merchant, which is what a lot of people like. And PayPal also gives you a lot of different options for paying, such as pay after delivery, for example. I've actually done a lot of purchases on eBay, and I can choose that as an option. So only after the item comes to my door is when I pay for the item. So I think that's a pretty cool concept. That way you don't feel like you're gonna get ripped off, and it gives the consumer a more sense of security when purchasing online. Now, the one thing I mentioned throughout this video is that competition is really heating up in this space. And giants like Apple, Google, Alibaba, Tencent, who have billions of dollars to spend on marketing, advertising, and R&D, are entering the space in a big way. And I think over the next few years, they're really going to push this a lot more. So like I mentioned already, if PayPal really wants to be the #1 player here, they need to be ahead of these companies. And it's already looking like they're losing the mobile game, so they need to really focus on mobile as opposed to just traditional online purchases where you go on your computer and purchase it. They're willing to focus on their app, willing to make that much more user-friendly and integrated with the operating systems like Android and iOS, because you want the experience to be very simple for users to use. And right now it seems that people just prefer things like Apple Pay and Google Pay over PayPal. Their revenue, like I mentioned, has been increasing well year over year, but as an investor in this company, I do want to see an even larger revenue growth with this company in this sector over the next few years. So overall, I would say that PayPal is an industry that they can actually succeed in. They can actually make tons of profit over the next few years in. but they really need to step up their game if they do want to do that, and they do need to fight off competitors looking to come into this space over the next few years. In my opinion, as long as they put their focus more on mobile and less on other aspects of the business, they will have a pretty good shot at achieving this. So after really weighing all the pros and cons of the business, their moat, the industry that they're in, I would give PayPal a hold rating. Now, there is a lot of bullish things going for this company, but the competition entering here is what concerns me, and I personally hold companies like Apple, Alibaba, Google, and Tencent in my portfolio, so indirectly I do have exposure to this space. And even though I don't really want to say this because I know a lot of you guys are PayPal investors, my true opinion on the stock is that PayPal will lose this game to companies like Apple and Google, and I don't really think that they'll even be one of the top 3 players in this space over the next 5 to 10 years. But again, that's just my opinion. I'd love to hear what your opinion is on the stock, and I'd love to hear if you agree with me or not. Either way, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like I said, I had to redo this one because there was a bit of information that was incorrect, and I do not want to provide you guys with incorrect information. That's the last thing I want to do. So make sure you drop a like. Let's get 100 likes if you appreciate that. Make sure to join the Facebook group. And either way, do not forget to invest positively.